welcome back to another edition of Nick and Knarf, two brothers in Tucson, bringing you music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And we're going way back today. We're going back to the roots, the grassroots.
That's right, the grassroots from 1960s, 70s, and after breaking up from the original group, many incarnations well into the 2000s. But we're focusing on the great heyday of the grassroots, was the late 60s, with these two great albums this is on one CD. They put these two albums, their second studio album, Let's Live for Today, and their third studio album, Feelings. And there's just some great songs between these two albums that made the grassroots one of the biggest acts in pop rock music in the late 60s.
I remember when I was first doing we did a trio that got together probably in 73. I remember we did a couple of the grassroots songs because you could do that with only a couple of guitarists, but Temptation Eyes is one of my favorite. I think probably my favorite song. We're not going to be doing it
That's
today.
That's a later one too.
It's a later song, but they came out with so many songs between the 70s and probably the mid 80s.
Tremendous legacy.
They've been also named the Bedouins and the 13th Floor.
Yeah, before they became finally the grassroots in 1965.
But their members were Dusty Hanvey, Larry Nelson, Joe Doherty, and Mark Dawson. Got together in L.A., and I think one of them was going to UCLA at the time, and they decided to get together and try to make it, and they did.
And they were formed by what famous producer, Nick?
Of course, that was from Dunhill Records, Lou Adler.
Lou Adler, the great Lou Adler, who you can still see on the sidelines at Laker games. He's still around. He was one of the biggest names in music production back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. Just a great producer. And this band had some of the greatest songs of the late 60s. And we're going to do a trio of songs for you because they're all short.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is we'll play them back to back to back without any kind of comment until afterwards. So we can move it along and you guys can enjoy the tunes. But before we start, we'd love to ask you, please subscribe, like, and share if you haven't. We'd love to have you be a part of the tribe. And if you have, we want to thank you for all your support. Anyway, subscribing is easy. It's free. You get notified, and you get connected to all of our videos, even our choice cut videos, which we add to our reaction videos. Lots of great stuff to enjoy. We hope you'll consider it, and we thank you if you have already. And leave us comments after the video anytime you want. We will respond. We'd love to hear from you. Right, Nikki?
That's right. Let's go mow the grass.
Okay.
Roots.
We are going to start with a song that I played in my band that I was in from 1965 to 1967 when I was in high school. We had a band with some of my friends from grammar school and high school, and we did this one, was one of the first ones we learned. It's from the grassroots. It's Let's Live for Today. Here it is, the grassroots.
All the worries people seem to find, and how they're in a hurry to complicate their minds by chasing after money and dreams that can't come true. I'm glad that we are different, we've better things to do. May others plan their future, I'm busy loving you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, live for today.
Don't worry about tomorrow, hey.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la, live for today.
For today.
We're never meant to worry the way that people do. And I don't mean to hurry, as long as I'm with you. We'll take it nice and easy and use my simple plan. You'll be my loving woman, I'll be your loving man. We'll take the most from living, have pleasure while we can. 2, 3, 4. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, live for today. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, live for today.
And don't worry about tomorrow, hey.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la, live for today. Inside of me, I got to feel you deep inside of me. Baby, please come close to me. I got to have you now, please. Please, give me some loving.
Give me some loving.
To give me some loving.
To give me some love.
Baby, give me some loving.
To give me some love.
Got to have all your loving.
Give me some love.
I need all your loving.
Give me some love.
That I need all your loving. Sha la 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 la, live for today. Sha la 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 la, live for today.
And don't worry about tomorrow. Hey.
Sha la 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 la.
Anyway, hey, isn't that a great song? That's Let's Live for Today, one of their early biggest hits. And I really enjoyed playing that song. I used to sing that one myself. So it was a really great tune. Anyway, let's get into the second one. The second one is the title song from their third album, Feelings. It's the song Feelings.
Sounds like the Association.
Yeah, it does sound like the Association. You're right.
It's me. Feel. It's me. Feel.
I have known you all my life. Girl, it seems to me that you will always be very close to me, very close to me now.
Really catchy.
Love this song. The beat is so nice.
No need to tell you now, at a time like this, my feelings can't be helped. That's the way it is, the way it is. Oh, that's the way it is now.
Love this part right here.
I've never known you now. Feelings I've had inside. Feelings you've never known. Feelings you've never found. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na-na.
That's so nice.
I will live for a long time, and then you'll see just how sad a man can be. Oh, girl, can't you see that it's me?
Kill. Make us
Can't you
see.
see it's me now? I've never known your love. Feelings you've had inside. Feelings you've never found. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na-na.
Now listen to this lead. This is really Eastern sounding.
Touch me. Feel. I'm alive.
I like that.
That is such an interesting song. I
Dun,
mean,
dun,
it's so
dun, dun.
great melody, great instrumentation, all kinds
Really
of great
nice,
stuff.
yeah.
But okay, we're gonna move into the last one. Now, this one is actually from a later album, but hey. When we said, hey, we got to add this song into the mix, okay? This is one of their biggest hits. It's Midnight Confessions. Here we go.
Sam the Sham.
Nice. What a threesome of great different tunes, you know, and you see the evolution of the sound, huh, Nick?
Yeah,
right?
and Michaela, my daughter, listen to Temptation Eyes by the Grassroots. It's such a great song. These guys, you see how varied they were. You know, they came out and then they got a little bit more risky, and then you could see that the studio started pumping money into them, and they're putting those background...
Absolutely. Listen, that feeling sounded like it was supposed to be a sort of semi-psychedelic tune with the influence of that Eastern, I don't know if it's a balalaika or something that's in there. Plus, there was a harpsichord playing the bass notes, the basic notes. So it had a harpsichord, and it had this kind of Gothic Victorian kind of sound and Eastern. It was an eclectic mix of sounds. And then you hear the R&B. It almost sounded like the Buckinghams, too.
Very much.
Didn't it sound like the Buckinghams, that last song, Midnight Confession?
Yeah, great comparison.
And the first one is just a pretty love song. But God, such great melodies. You know, we say this over and over, and I know a lot of kids nowadays, and, you know, in their millennials and people in their 20s, are going back to listen and rediscover music that powered our generation. We're the old farts. We're the guys who are passing out and moving on. But hey, when we were growing up, you guys all know this music was so formative and so many different styles and coming together and great individual tunes, musicianship, tunes, creativity. And the Grassroots were one of those really cutting edge kind of mainstream pop bands that were toying with all kinds of sounds and songs. And they had a run of some amazing, amazing hits.
You know, and Frank was sending me this video of Brian Wilson was talking about, you know, how he would stay inside and all that because he realized how competitive it was. So he not only wanted to be creative, but competitive. And that's what happened with a lot of these groups, especially from LA, because now it was the mecca of recording. You know, the West Coast became the mecca of recording albums and groups. Competition.
Huge. It was fierce. If you couldn't make a success, a good example is we did a video on the merry-go-round. They kind of assembled those guys to create a sound. They thought they had the look and they had the sound. And their first album and only album was very disappointing, even though their hit single that came from it was encouraging. And the band, the producers weren't going to invest any more in them. If you couldn't deliver hits, there were new bands forming constantly. So they figured, hey, you could throw, you were dispensable, and they could find someone else and invent a new band.
Andy and Oregon all the time, we're always talking about the movie That Thing You Do, but it is so reflective of the way it was in the mid-'60s when, after the Beatle invasion, the British invasion, how groups would get together, they'd come up with one great song, they'd be what's called one-hit wonders. They'd come up with a great song, and then the studio would kind of own you and put pressure on you to do what they wanted to do because they wanted to make money. They were, you know, they had put in the investment, they had you touring and showcasing you and all that, but they had to get a return on investment. And if you couldn't produce, you were out.
I tell you, though, you got to check out more of the Grassroots if you're not that familiar with them, because they are truly one of the better, more recognizable, and more really unique bands.
Yeah, they were in there with
a range of stuff.
They were in that group with the Rascals, the Grassroots. I mean, the Guess Who kind of rose to the top.
They were a little later, and they were Canadian too, so they were kind of from a different.
But they rose above. I mean, their sound.
But the Turtles, the Turtles, the Association, all of those kind of Southern California pop rock bands that were really taking over the scene in the late 60s. But the Grassroots were as big as any of them from that period of 67 to like 71, 72. But hope you guys enjoyed our threesome of great tunes from the Grassroots, and please check them out. And remember, please, if you enjoyed what you heard, subscribe, like, and share. There's more where this comes from. We got a lot of catalog of great music for you to enjoy, backlog. We got more coming in the future, and we want to thank you for being a part of our journey. And we appreciate all your love and support. And we're looking forward to seeing you next time on Nick Knarf.
And I'm going to go dancing in the dark, walking in the park, and reminiscing.
Not with me. I'm staying inside. It's getting cold out there now.
Hey, we love you guys. Hope you're having a great fall season, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
That's right. We love you all, brothers. Peace out. Ciao, babies.
Ciao.